Hello, Nigerians, and welcome to the program Nigeria Now, where we will be looking at various stories that are actually, concerning Nigeria and also the policies, governance, and quite a number of things that actually affect this country, Nigeria. I am Sarah Elisha Dashom, and I will be doing this program alongside Rachel Tanze. Good afternoon, Rachel. How are you
Afternoon,
doing?
Sally. I'm fine. How about you?
Great, thank you so much. Now, today we'll be looking at quite a number of things that are actually affecting not just Nigerians, but also affecting our country, Nigeria, as well. Within the weekend, we saw where Syrup is actually suing former governors for actually looking at the issue of collecting of pensions, and quite a number of reactions coming from a number of people, because the fact that we are having where we're looking at cutting the cost of governance, and then we're seeing whereby we're still having where former governors are presently maybe senators and the likes of other things, and then they're still collecting money. And then, just like I said, we're looking at cutting the cost of governance, and then we're seeing this. But then, no wonder we're seeing where the social economic rights and accountability have dragged the Senate president and other governors because of what, before the Federal High Court, because of what they are collecting, allegedly, according to Syrup, allegedly collecting of salaries and pension and also allowances. On quite a number of reactions coming from Nigerians, it was not far-fetched when we saw when Labour wanted going on strike, and then the federal government pleaded with them, and then where we see that there was an increase of minimum wage to about 65,000 right now, and then even though it will be slashed through the state and also local government areas, and then right now we're seeing that we're still having our governors or former governors, now senators, still collecting money. So quite a number of reactions. And if you meet Nigerians, quite a number of things is running through their mind. Where are we getting the money? We're still looking at we're running on deficit. Very soon we'll be having the 2024 budget already, which they said part of the priority of the house is looking at security, food, and other things. And then we just saw recently when the president left the country, he was looking at inviting investors into the country. Now, quite a number of things. Where do we expect the government to actually have the money to run this? No wonder NLC have given them 30 days. And right now we're seeing that Serap is actually suing, this
Yes.
former governors in the Federal High Court for actually still collecting pension when we have a number of things that need the attention of the government to address, and then we're still having money going to this former governors.
Sally, they are politicians. That's their job description. For example, some of them started from the local government area, served in their state house of assemblies, and now moved to becoming governors. Then now the Senate, and for those who are in the House of Representatives, started from this same level as politicians. Because if you ask them who are they say they are politicians. So the question is, if I was serving as a DPO at a police officer and I get promoted to the position of an inspector, will I say I should be paid for my pension as I was a DPO? Or perhaps if you were a commissioner of police and then all of a sudden you were now made as the inspector general of police for a state, or at whatever level you are, then you went to the federal government level at a high level, are you going to say you are going to be paid pension because you were once the commissioner, you're now done with being the commissioner, and then now you are going to be an inspector general, so you will be collecting pension for once being a commissioner, and this is where I see foul play in running governance in this country, in the system of governance. And I said that earlier today, and I'm going to draw more emphasis on it because this is the way that we are seeing our leaders manipulating what they get into their pocket. You have been an active politician from one position of leadership to another. You are not retired, therefore you're not pensionable until the day you stop being an active politician, until the day you stop running for political offices, until the day you're no longer in government, then you become pensionable at whatever level you stop. If you finish at the House of Representatives, if that was your last government activity and political office, that is where your pension is going to come from. If you stop as being a governor, and that was the last office you held, and you are not going to run for any other position again, that is where your pension is going to come from. If you finish as a senator and that is your last office that you held before leaving politics and leadership, then that is where your pension is going to come from. If you decided to start from a certain place and then you took a break, for example, you were a governor and for some reason you took a 3-year break from running any office for that period of time, you will be getting your pension at the governor level. But the moment you still run for another political office and you get elected into power, that pension stops coming because you are now actively involved in governance and in politics. You are having a political office, and then we take it up from there. From whenever you end, then a pension can start coming, until we sit down and see our government, until we see our leaders making blueprints like these templates and implementing it, that we want to cut the cost of governance. And there's no need for someone who is actively into politics, holding key political office, to be pensionable when the person has not retired, because you haven't retired. Pension is for those who have retired. You can't be in active service and duty and be pensionable. It doesn't make sense. So are we trying to say that the law, the constitution is different when it comes to politicians and not when it comes to civil servants? We let not forget the fact you keep saying it's they are servants. You are serving Nigerians. We've elected you into this position. You are working. When you retire, then you get your pension. And this is the point where we will see whether we have selfless leaders. That is where we will see if they are truly ready to cut down the cost of governance, because one of the major things that consumes the expenditure in this country, and we are running at a deficit now, is personnel costs. And it means all of these allowances, salaries, allocation, pocket money here and there, all of these things that are coming to office holders are one of the major things that are running us into deficit as a country. And until we decide to start cutting down the cost of governance, until we have our lawmakers and representatives sitting down in those offices and say, you know what, this is the way forward for Nigeria, and we're willing to make the sacrifice, despite the fact it means less coming into my account, despite it being the fact that, you know what, I might not be getting all the benefits that other past politicians have gotten, but I am ready to make this sacrifice. And before, I'll feel some sense in my heart that, you know what, we finally have an administration that is really ready to take Nigeria to the next level.
No, Rachel, what actually baffled me is the fact that we're still having, okay, take for instance civil servants that have actually served their country, either retired by age or by service 35 years.
Yes.
If you should look at their pension accumulatively, how much is it?
Nothing.
And then now look at the pension of our former governors. Now we're saying that even Serap is not only suing them, but it's asking them to give details of how
They
much
should,
they are
Sele. They
receiving
should.
as pension and salaries, which they have collected so far.
Yes.
Because you cannot expect a civil servant that has served his or her country for the past 35 years, and then accumulatively in a month, how much do that person get as pension? We've heard where callers are calling in to say, okay, let's even take a look at our former security operatives who have served the country, and their pension is not even coming as expected. And here we are having former governors that have graduated from being former governors to now either senators or are serving in the House of Representatives. It is only fair that these people, is either when you are done being a governor, you go back at home and retire them, okay, this person is retired, or let us have, where we have our representative, either the House join both the Senate and the House of Representatives, or down to the state assemblies, to take a bill and say, henceforth, we are no longer going to pay any former governor any pension henceforth.
Yes.
But I think the reason why such states are taking, because it's not every former governor that after serving actually move further to other political,
then they continue getting their
but
pension.
most people,
Yes.
after graduating from here, or I permit me from using the word graduation, because it seems as if it's from one level to another.
Yes.
So we truly hope that with all of this thing, right now it's left for the Federal High Court. Our fingers are crossed to see how all of this thing will play, but we only feel that it is the right thing for the government to do. If you truly want to cut the cost of governance, and if you tell Nigerians that you feel they are paying, that it's only right they actually would look into the issue of this. If you are merging MDAs, which we have some of the MDAs that don't even need to be merged, but then we have some of them that already been merged. So why don't we have this? Already a lot of Nigerians were talking about the 48 cabinet that the president is having presently. We're having 48 ministers as it is presently. So quite a number of things to run, but we hope that right now the fate of Nigeria is in the hands of the judiciary. And so we hope to see what the Federal High Court will do about that. Whether we are going to have our former governors telling us how much they have received so far, so Nigerians will truly know where to cut the cost of governance. Now, let's take a look at the issue of INEC. We've seen that INEC have come out again to express their concerns, their fear, and over what is happening in these 3 states that we will be having election in the next 1 month or so. Talking about Imo, Kogi, and Bayelsa. And the key states so far have been in Imo State. We've had local governments that have been going through one attack after another, one attack after another. And it seems as if there is no rest to what is happening there. It seems as if some people have declared that there will be no peace in Imo State or there will be no peace in Kogi State. And the commission talking about INEC is coming out to express their fear and also call on parties to actually caution their supporters and their followers, because we've been hearing a lot of hate speech coming out from some of these candidates. We are seeing where others are saying do not allow strangers to come into the state. But I believe that this should be the right of the indigents of the state to decide who they want to elect. All you have to do is present your manifesto to these indigents. They will now decide who they think is favorable. Over the years, we've heard people, especially in Imo State, complaining about the governor. We've seen reports being done in certain local government areas. In fact, we have one of the local government area, Ogikwe local government area, where a lot of unrest have been going on there. And the Labour Party gubernatorial candidate over there came out to actually call on the president to please come to the aid of the people of Imo State because of the unrest that is going on there. Because if it continues, INEC possibly might not have election. There was a time where you and I were talking where we saw that even ACOS staff are not coming out to register because a lot of them are afraid. And this can actually affect voters' apathy. Now, we've seen that over the years, or in where we had the other elections in the 28 states. And then we saw that also during the presidential, where a lot of people are being threatened if they want to elect a particular candidate. Now, with all of this thing that INEC have seen, it was expected that the better approach will have, but we can see that still things seem not to be going well, and this is a big concern for INEC as it is presently. And no wonder the Labour Party gubernatorial candidate is calling on the president to please come to the aid of the people of Imo State, and something should be done about the unrest. Now the question will be, how can there be peace back in all of these states? Because one thing for sure is the fact that they need to find the perpetrators of this evil, the perpetrators of the unrest going on there. That is the only way. And then they need to know why the people that are sponsoring all of these attacks that we're seeing, because you cannot really just say that it's either the Boko Haram, the ISWAP or something. They need to find the root cause of this unrest if only we want to have elections in this state. So these are questions that are in the minds of Nigerians, hopefully.
I mean, Sele, we cannot downplay insecurity, but I would like to tell INEC to stop whining for a bit, okay? You're not a security agency. You're not a security body. We've had this same lamenting coming from INEC, even in the general polls and then in the majority of elections that took place in states. We've had states that had attacks days to election, and elections still took place weeks before days to, in Kaduna State, where even the governor had to impose 24 hours curfew and all of that, and there was still election. We've had insecurity in Niger. We've had insecurity in a lot of states, and elections took place. Now, if INEC is saying insecurity is a problem, then why are you going on with the plans for the election? Why don't you halt it completely and not hold election? If the insecurity is too much in Imo, in Bayelsa, and in Kogi State, if it's that too much, then you halt the election plans and say, we cannot go to Imo, Bayelsa, or Kogi because there is insecurity. But you cannot be making all other plans, accreditation, mock, this, and that, and still be whining about insecurity. what are we going to deal with? This is what I expect INEC to do. You've given your situation to each state. It is left for these present state governors to secure their state before then. If not, we will not be coming. It's okay, right, for INEC to raise security observation, but when you make it look like it is a problem, but you keep carrying out other plans, then what are you trying to say? This is where I'm coming from, that you know what, you've said it is a problem. If it's going to stop election from happening, let's know. If it's not, let's know what is the way forward. And of course, it's all about information. It's all about knowing. If a day to the election, if 2 days to the election, you hear that a certain region cannot be accessed because of insecurity, it's all about giving a feedback. It's all about saying INEC cannot go there. It's all about not saying this. But then it's a different ballgame if it's the entire state that is not bearable for election due to insecurity. We've had places that they couldn't access even due to this 2023 election, both at the federal level and the state local government, that INEC couldn't go to those local government or those polling units because of one reason or another. And we've had that. So if the cases of Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi is different, then perhaps we should know. If election can't hold completely there, then we should know. But then if it is a case of insecurity, we've had that. And I'm not saying we can't downplay insecurity, but amidst insecurity, we had a general election in Nigeria. Amidst insecurity, kidnapping left, right, center, we had elections in Nigeria. Amid attacks prior, few days to election in some states, we had elections still taking place. So what is INEC trying to say? Or why are they making it, why are they trying to put it on the paper as if it's going to cancel the whole process in this state? And so I just want them to say, okay, if insecurity is the problem, what do you plan on doing? So far, it doesn't look like you've stopped any plan. Then why is it out there? If it's a hindrance, then let's know completely it is, but not that you keep talking about insecurity, but yet you keep making plans for that election.
No, Richard, I think them bringing this a lot forward is just to let most of the political parties, because campaign has really kick-started in all of these states, and then we're seeing a lot of political parties are going out to say what they hope to do for the indigenous of the state, how they intend to go about it, and all of that. And then somewhere along the line, we've had over the time where people come out and start inciting violence through their utterances, through their actions, and then we've heard of situations whereby followers of these various political parties end up getting their clashes here and there, fight here and there, and then before you realize it, things get out of order. We've had these situations where in Lagos State, for example, during the gubernatorial election, we saw what happened over there, where ballot boxes were being snatched, people were being abused, harassed, and all of that. They're not voting for this party. So I think these are part of the thing that INEC is trying to avoid, so that does not happen again. But just like you rightly stated, this is not a way of trying to put it that insecurity will stand as a threat to stop this election from going on. But this is just to caution all the political parties to call their followers to order, because they do not want a situation whereby one utterance coming from somebody can incite violence, and then before you realize it, things get out of order. I mean, it was in most we saw where the office of INEC kept being burned over and over and over and over, and INEC had to spend a lot of resources to reprint maybe some of these PVCs and all of that. And this is not the way we want to go running elections. So we're looking forward to a Nigeria one day that, Rachel, when they say there's an election, we'll not have any problem, because it's just for you to go, put your vote and leave. But then we make it look like it's rocket science, that it's undoable because of the way certain people are taking this whole thing to be a do or die affair. And just like you said, I always say leaders are to serve. It's high time they realize that it's just an election, it's just a game. It's either you win or you lose. But when you lose, that doesn't make you a failure completely. It's just for you to support whoever emerges as a winner eventually to do his or her best. So when you want to campaign, simply stick to whatever you wrote down. Tell the people, this is what I want to do, and let the people decide. Because over the years, I mean, you rose from one level to another before you said you want to run for governor. So, of course, the people of your state must have been watching you closely to know that we want this way. Because believe you me, they already know who they want to vote. No matter what you do, the people of the state know who they want to vote to. Our figures across, like Bayelsa, which is one of the Niger Delta areas, we hope things will go safe over there. Kogi happens to be in the center, so we're hoping that everything will work out well. Imo State is also part of the place where we've been having the Southeast governors meeting time in, time out to make sure that they secure their zone. So we are hoping that elections in these three states will actually take place smoothly. We will not hear that any local government is being ruled out or being cancelled because of insecurity. Now, for us to round up the show, I think it's very imperative that we talk about the issue of what the federal government is saying on the fact that they want to create 5 million jobs for youth. That is for the next 5 years. So that is to say, for every year, the federal government is targeting 1 million jobs. And this happened when we have Betty Edo yesterday during the interview she had, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, where she was talking about the fact that presently the Empower is on hold because we know there was a program that the former administration talking about Buhari introduced during while he was in power, where a lot of people were being empowered, a lot of people were being given. So it's either you're with the agri, you're teaching. There were various, programs that you could apply, and a lot of Nigerians quite apply, especially the youth. And it was supposed to run for age 18 to 35, but presently they have extended to age 40. So, you stop being a youth after 40 years. But right now, the concern is how do the government intend to go about this? Because not only is the government looking at the Empower, but they're looking on introducing other programs through the health, other programs through maybe agriculture, cut across other sectors. They are looking on doing that. Now, a lot of things in mind. We're still going back to what are the resources we have. That is not to say that we don't have the resources, but what is the government putting in place to make sure that for every year, 1 million Nigerian youths are being empowered. 1 million Nigerian youths are being employed, because believe you me, with the way things are going on, we've seen a lot of organizations laying off staff because they do not have the resources to maintain it. So now the question will be, how is the federal government hoping to maintain it?
Sele, first of all, this current administration and government only have 3 years, 7 months left in office. And for them to say 5 years, I don't know where the math is. They have 4 years to go as an administration, and it's already 5 months gone. So they basically have 3 years, 7 months. Exactly. So are they already giving us, in the futuristic prediction that, you know what, we are going to be here for 8 years? But then that aside, Empower is not employment. Any scheme, any empowerment program that has an expiry date, that has a start and an end, is not employment. 1 million yearly is a lot. And can the Nigerian government do it? Yes. But does it look like they can do it, or are they putting the things in place to do it? No, I don't see that. Because you know what? We're having small, medium scale businesses closing due to the economic crisis as it is now. These are some of the businesses, these are some of the factors that add to employment, and they are not there. So whether we like it or not, we are having our unemployment rate increasing. So by the end of the year, if perhaps, I'm just using a blank figure, not for sure, if we said we have 10 million unemployed, and in 5 years, the government is trying to say they will be able to employ 5 million, in these 5 years, with the economic crisis, we'll be looking at 15 million. So it's almost like we're still having the same number of unemployed on ground. That is, for example. And then there is no room, because the government on its own, we are running a mixed economy. So what that means is that by virtue of mixed economy, the government doesn't have the power to be fully in charge of employment. They might be with the larger number of employed, but in a mixed economy, because you've allowed capitalists into your system, you've allowed privatization into your system, it means that all of these sectors also are responsible for employment. And we are seeing that with the current economic crisis in the country, is not allowing these other sectors to thrive as they should, therefore not creating enough employment, enough job opportunities, or enough support for employment. And these are the things that they have to look at. And just as I'll say, empower you in whatever scheme, Sele, that is temporary. Because when I gain employment, for example, with the federal government, my start year is 35 years. And the only thing that can cut that short is perhaps death. Perhaps I fall too sick and can't continue. Perhaps a major accident that makes me incapacitated, or any other factor that is within these 35 years. And then I have a pension at the end of it. I have gratuities. I have health insurance. I have beneficiaries. Therefore, you can't use empowerment schemes and programs to qualify them as employment, because they have expiry dates. They have when they start and when they finish. There is no gratuity, there's no pension, there are no allowances, there's no health scheme attached to it. There is nothing. It's just what it is, an empowerment for a period of time for you to be able to keep your head above water and stuff like that. So if this is what the government is looking at, then it is not employment. However, the only way the government of Nigeria can achieve that is if we start seeing more industries booming in this country, if we have more investors coming into this country, when we don't have manufacturers leaving, when we have more parastatals working and spreading their roots and growing, when you have ministries living to their full potential and therefore needing to employ more people to do the job, just as we keep saying someone somewhere is sleeping on their job, until we see more recruit in the paramilitary, the military, because there is need for more and more people to fight crime, exactly. Until all of this is put in place, anything that is short term is just what is called empowerment, but not employment. And this is the magic. It's not magic, Sele, it's possible, but this is where I am waiting to see what the federal government plans on doing and how these 5 million jobs will be achieved in 5 years.
You know, Richard, I think it's possible, just like you said. We have the resources, and this is not just all for the humanitarian affairs ministry. This is where we see synergy with other, the labor and employment ministry. This is where we see synergy between the mineral resources sector. This is where we see synergy between other sectors, where we can put hands and see how can we make sure we put our hands together to see that 1 million Nigerians are being, empowered. We're still looking at the Ajaokuta steel mining.
Yes.
Till date, a lot of money keeps going in there, and then we wonder what is happening. Are people being employed there? Or are we talking about other refineries that are lying idle in other states in the country that are yet? Nothing is done about that. It's all about putting a little money in those refineries and it's up and working again. So just like you said, it's workable, honestly. All of this thing is workable, but it's just because Nigerians are working based on their sites. So they just want to see what the government is saying, because what are cheap, because people are beginning to compare. We know that the humanitarian affairs ministry, one of the ministries that a lot of Nigerians question a lot, because a lot of things went on that.
They get a lot of funding, but they do less compared to what
I'm going
they
to look
get.
at the school feeding, that even up to 2020 we're told that kids were being fed, and then you wonder, that was COVID. Everybody was at home. So how were you feeding students at home? Always to talk about other money that came in there to do one or two things, and nothing was being done. So we believe that the government can only achieve this if they are dogged and if they are willing to actually put aside whatever personal interest, and then to actually work towards making sure that everything works out for the good of the country. Thank you so much, Rachel, for doing this with me. A lot of hands are waving at me. And thank you so much to our viewers and supporters for keeping it with us on Nigeria Now. Until we come here again tomorrow, do have a blessed day ahead.